Welcome to Business Bootcamp for Freelance Writers. This is my video blog and podcast series. I'm Kevin Corbally, and this is part two of my podcast and vlog on the topic of lessons I learned through 25 years of freelance writing. And as I mentioned in part one, I actually wrote this as an article that I posted on LinkedIn and Facebook and my website and so forth, so you can always read it there. Anyway, this is part two. There were 8 lessons in all. Actually, I've learned about 1,000 lessons, but these are the ones I was able to write up for my blog and for the article. So this is we're going to go through the second 4. So in terms of starting your freelance writing business, you have to understand that somebody's got to steer that ship. And I'm using a metaphor from a book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, Gerber. I think it's the best entrepreneurship book ever written. And he talks about a lot of things. He makes so many great points in that book. That book can be a little scary to read, but anyway, it's well worth it. But one thing he talks about is that the small business owner is in a constant struggle between working on the business and in the business. It's very difficult to do both. And to extend the metaphor of the ship captain, the ship captain or the owner of the company has to be up on the bridge navigating towards opportunities and away from obstacles, right? the icebergs. And you can't do those things if you're down in the engine room shoveling coal into the furnaces all the time to keep the ship moving. But you got to do both, and that's the important thing. So just be aware you're going to have to lift your head up from your computer screen, look around, see what's going on in your industry, especially if you're in a niche, which I recommend, and be aware of what's coming up. Are there opportunities that you can engage in, things you need to watch out for. So just be aware of that. It's very, very difficult. It's one of those things that you really can't appreciate until you get in to do it. So just be aware it's coming. Okay, the next lesson is accept change because it's going to be good for you. So think back for a second. When I started my business 25 years ago, the internet existed, but it didn't exist the way it did today. There were no websites, okay? So just think about how much of the writing that I do and all writers do now ends up on the web. Well, that didn't exist back then. So I've gone through a lot of change with my business. Undoubtedly, you will too. Who knows what's coming next? Probably going to be driven by social media, I would guess. Longevity means you've got to change. You've got to change to keep up with changes in the market. Your customers are going to change. Their needs and wants are going to change. And technology is going to change. Remember, the internet, that was the technology that drove change in my business. So keep in mind you're going to change. But here's the thing that so many of us, myself included, don't realize when you get into your businesses that you're going to change over time. And that's a good thing, right? We all evolve, hopefully, through the course of our lives. And you can make your business change right along with you. Your interests are going to change. Maybe you're going to discover some different kind of writing that you like to do, and that's great. So don't get bored by your business because you keep it static. Let it change and evolve right along with you. Learn some new things, engage some new markets. It's worth it because that's what it's going to take to keep you engaged. You don't want to be bored. Okay, here's another lesson. Working from home is a challenge. Okay, on the whole, it's a great thing. I like working from home. You see it at my office. Every day is take your dog to work day. It's just a great thing. It's a net positive. Obviously, you only have about a 10-second commute to work. You save a lot of time. Also, one of the neat things that I like about it is I can get my errands done during the week, right? I can throw in a load of laundry, I can get the yard mowed, and that way my weekends are freed up for fun, which is exactly what they should be. So, okay, but there are downsides, and this is really important to think about. And just a couple of them. I'm scrolling through my notes here. Okay, potential downsides. Working at home can be isolating, and really there's no excuse for that these days because there's meetups you can get involved in, get out of the office, whether for professional reasons or personal reasons. There are workspaces that you can rent, maybe just for a couple hours, a couple days a week. It's just you just need to get out of the office. One friend of mine, he goes for like 3 hours a day to his local coffee shop, and that's where he does his writing. Okay, it works for him. And another thing is there's distractions from the family. Obviously, when my kids were really little, I actually rented an office space outside of the house for a couple of years. So, you know, it's one of those things. I just couldn't work at home anymore. It was too difficult. And here's another one, the lack of exercise. You'll be amazed when you think about when you have a job that you commute to and you get, you know, you walk out of your car, just walk to the office, and maybe you walk out at lunch. You actually do a lot more movement than you think you do. When you're at home, man, you could spend all day just sitting in front of your computer screen like I'm doing right now. If it weren't for my dogs, I don't think I'd get any exercise during the day, and that's a bad thing. I actually got a Fitbit for Christmas one year for my wife. It was an eye-opener. So you got to plan for that, especially as you get older. I didn't worry about it when I was younger. But think about those things. The three things I just mentioned, the isolation, distraction, and the exercise issue, they're big. They can really hurt you in the long run, and they can drive you out of business. Be ready to deal with them. Have a strategy for that too. Okay, finally, okay, self-employment's not for everybody. I know it's harsh to think about, but everybody has stressors in life. I mean, for some people, the whole idea of not having a regular paycheck that comes to them every 2 weeks, that is just a huge stressor. I mean, I think everybody's stressed by that, some more than others. But for other people, they're stressed out, and this was me, stressed out by the fact that, boy, at any time when you're working in a company or a corporate environment, you know, that your boss or that human resources person can march down the hall and announce that you've been laid off, and it doesn't matter how good a job you've been doing. To me and to a lot of other people, that is a stress beyond belief. And so there's this trade-off. Which is a bigger stress for you? Unfortunately, I think a lot of people can't figure it out until they get in the situation of being self-employed. But just be aware, it may not be for you. I think that most of the self-employed people who are successful freelancers included, they're willing to trade that regular paycheck in return for having a greater control over their life and career. So just keep that in mind. Maybe you can give that some thought, and I hope you know you think about that, and I hope it gets you excited rather than discouraging you. So again, thanks for joining me. That's it. Those are my 8 lessons from 25 years. This is part 2. Maybe I'll come up with part 3. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for joining me. You can go to my blog site, www.writingbizcamp.com. Biz is B-I-Z, and you can also follow me on Twitter at WritingBizGuru. So thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.